Hi, it's Pete Cohen and welcome to another Mi365 podcast. Today's podcast, Good versus Evil. But before we get stuck into the podcast, I want to let you know about the Mi365 journal. If you want to find out how journaling can specifically help you create the life that you want today, head over to mi365.me/journal. This journal was made specifically for everyday people to help them get into the rituals of success. Look, a great life doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design, and journaling is such a powerful tool. And this is something that will really help you supercharge the success that you want to have in your life. Mi365, we are all about helping people create the life that they want. So head over to mi365.me/journal and you'll see for yourself exactly what this tool is and how it can help you. So on with the podcast. So today we're looking at good versus evil. And if you think about it, we all love stories where there is some goodness and there is some evil. And if we look at humanity, we'll see that throughout the course of history, good has overcome evil. But if you look around the world right now, you'll see that there's still a lot of good and evil going on. So what does it mean to be evil? Well, if you go and Google it, you'll not only see that there are millions of people that are hitting on evil. I don't know for what reason. Maybe like me, they wanted to find out really what it means. But it means when you are exercising power to intentionally harm someone else, to cause pain, affliction, violence on somebody else. And this has been going around for a long time. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of justice. I'm a big fan of humanity and helping good overcome evil. But I don't know what I can do about all the wars going on in the world, but I know there are many wars going on inside us. And what really triggered me to do this podcast was a documentary that was on the BBC the other day with Louis Theroux, who's a brilliant documentary filmmaker. And this documentary was about anorexia. Now, anorexia is a condition that I'm quite familiar with because I've actually worked with a lot of people over the years who have this condition. And it's definitely more prevalent in society than it's probably ever been. In fact, now it's the mental health issue that kills more people than anything else, which is like, wow, this is pretty full on. And Louis Theroux was really I think he was challenged by trying to understand why people would do this to themselves. And what has this got to do with good and evil? Well, like I said, I'm all into helping people create the life that they want. That's what Mi365 is all about. And you probably heard the analogy that inside both of us, there's a good cop, there's a bad cop, there's a devil, there's an angel, there's good, and there's evil. And I think there are two sides to us. And we can be very, very hard on ourselves. We can cause harm to ourselves. I mean, there's no question about it that many of the emotions that we feel, we wouldn't positively inflict those emotions on other people. That is evil. But you see, when we look at things from a fresh pair of eyes, which again is a massive part of what we're about, is giving you the opportunity to look at things differently. So you go, you know what, I never thought of it like that. You see, in order for evil to go altogether, we need to find peace. Peace on earth, which is what so many people want. I want peace on earth, but I want to inspire you to find peace in yourself. And what was so fascinating about this documentary and him interviewing people with anorexia was there seemed to be some different reasons as to why people started this behavior of basically just not eating and getting so thin and then often going into hospital and then having to have treatment. There was definitely a common theme all the way through, and it was how hard a lot of these people were on themselves. And I think that's the biggest thing that I notice in all human beings. And I used to work with a lot of anorexic people, and it was very challenging because, look, if I'm working with you and you want to change your life, you know that there's something that's holding you back. We all know that. There's something holding us all back from creating the life that we want. And you might decide that you want to write a book, or you might decide that you want to lose weight or get fit. And you go out there with great intention, but something happens, often inside your own head, where you stop yourself. You sabotage your own efforts. You cause conflict inside your head. Now, would you say that was evil? To positively inflict harm on yourself? Well, maybe. I mean, it depends how you want to look at it. But people only really change when their perspective changes. And when I used to coach people, which I still do to this day, my challenge is to help them look at something and go, I've never thought of it like that. So if you think that there's something you wanted in your life and there was a part of you that was holding you back, just imagine if you could take the part of you that was holding you back and stick it outside the room and just leave it out there. Just leave it out there for a bit and let me talk to the part of you that wants to change. Now, this was the big challenge that I found when I was working with people with anorexia, because the part of them that was making them behave in this way, they couldn't park that part of them. It seemed very difficult for them to do it for a long period of time, because it's only when you let go of what you don't need that you can create some space, just a little bit of space to open up to a new way of thinking, to a new way of doing things. And this is where for an anorexic, and for everyone else, that we know that there's a part of us that is holding us back. But we also know there's a part of us that wants more. In most cases, I believe in people, and I don't think that the majority of people just give up. There is a part, there's a spark, there's something there. And if we can light that part up inside someone to make them go, you know what? My future is better than this. And it's sad because many people have to get to such a low place until they finally go, I'm ready to change. Now, are you ready to change? Are you really ready to do something so beautiful, so amazing? People say love conquers all, and I believe it does, but there's a certain type of love, which is gratitude. To be grateful for what you have, to be able to let go and say, you know what? That was the old me. And from the work I've been doing for years, it still fascinates me today that when you ask someone about the life they want to create, most people struggle to do that. Most people are victimizing themselves. They are evil to themselves. They might not necessarily want to be. But again, let's just look at that slightly differently, because the evil that someone might be doing to themselves, why would they be doing that? Well, again, I can't speak for the world because I don't know everybody. But I do know a lot of people. And what I see inside people who are evil or hard or harsh, however you want to call it, to themselves, there can be a couple of reasons for that. I think one of the reasons is they associate some sort of pleasure to staying where it is that they are. They think that if they stay the way they are, it's better than the unknown. And for some people, letting go of the unknown is a bit scary because they think, well, this is how I move through the world. If I didn't do that, who would I be? That's not me. That's not like me. But if you see yourself in that way and you don't think positively about where you want to go, and you don't start to identify with you being perhaps happier, healthier, having more peace in yourself, then it's like a battle that you'll never win. But I know many of you have already won that battle, and that's why you're here. You're here today. But you know what? Guess what's coming tomorrow? Another battle, another challenge. One of my colleagues said to me that she spent 7 hours in a car the other day that should have been a journey that took 2 hours. And she said, wow, it was really testing. It's all a test. It's all a test for us to find the greatness in ourselves. Forget good versus evil. Evil? How about greatness over evil? So how do we do that? Look, as we bring this podcast to an end, and I appreciate you guys listening to this, what's your one takeaway that you're going to take away from this? Maybe it's that we all need to find a little bit more peace in ourselves. And there are many ways that we can do that, whether it's choosing to smile, or whether it's choosing to move forwards in a direction where we can see a better future than what we have today, or whether it's the realization that one of the reasons we are harsh on ourselves and can cause evil crimes inside our own body and our mind, no one knows we're often doing it apart from ourselves, is the software that we are running in our brain. We've been talking about this a lot recently on Mi365 with the whole concept of upgrading your life. Look, we are very much like computers. The man or the woman, I think it was a man who designed the computer, designed it in such a way that kind of represents how we actually work. We have hardware, we have software. The software is what's running us, what's moving us. But once upon a time, most of that software wasn't there. And a software that we have is all about beliefs, what we believe. And it's pretty crazy, but we live in a world that basically says to us, hey, look, you're not good enough the way that you are. You're not good enough, and because you're not good enough, you'll go and buy things that you don't often need to do, or you'll develop addictions, and you just won't be happy where you are. And the other belief that people have, which is they're not lovable, they're not right the way that they are. And if we think that, it creates a consumer society where people are looking for things outside of themselves for them to be happy, for them to be accepted, for them to feel comfortable in their own skin, but it's fleeting. I think that the battle of good and evil really begins with us and what we do inside our own minds and inside our own bodies. And in every moment, in every day, you have the opportunity to change that. It's what we call our own personal power. You have that power. So what I would encourage you to do, when you notice that there is self-defeating talk, there's conflict going on inside of you, do something about that in the moment. Say to yourself this, that's interesting. As you say that, you kind of let go of the grip that you have inside yourself. One of the things that we encourage a lot of people to practice is mindfulness, some form of meditation where you can start to observe the experience of being who you really are, and realizing that your life simply comes down to the quality of the communication inside yourself. You can change that. You really do have what it takes. I've seen so many people change their life, and I know that you can do the same. We really appreciate all of our Mi365ers all over the world that are creating a better story of their life. Look, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it. Leave a comment. We love to hear from people. If you're watching this on or listening to this on iTunes or YouTube, make a comment, share it. Let's get it out there. If you're watching it on the mi365.me website, once again, make a comment and share it. Let's get this information out there. Let's get liberated. Let's find peace in ourselves. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time for another Mi365 podcast. All the best. Much love.